You may be wondering why I'm in this cemetery. The reason is that in this week's video, we're going to be learning about why Sacramento, of all the places in California, is the state's capital. And one of the biggest reasons is because of a man by the name of Amos P. Catlin, who happens to be buried right here in the historic Sacramento Cemetery. See, Amos P. Catlin was a lawyer. He was born in New York, but came here to California in January 1849 to mine for gold and to also practice law. He was living in Mormon Island over by Folsom Lake, and in 1852, he was elected into the California Senate. And it was as a senator that he wrote the bill that would make Sacramento the state's capital. So let's start from the beginning. California became big enough to basically apply to become a state. So in 1849, there was a convention in the city of Monterey to go over all the legal stuff on becoming a state and how the state would run and where the state would have their government based at. It essentially became a contest on which city would provide the best for the new state. So all sorts of cities, big and small, were sending the convention letters and people to propose that the capital be made in their city. The winner was a small and upcoming town of Pueblo de San Jose, better known nowadays as San Jose. Interestingly enough, Pueblo de San Jose was the first city in the state to be incorporated, and the first and second sessions of the California legislature were held in a 60 by 40 foot two-story adobe hotel. The first story was for the assembly, while the second floor was for the state senate. Basically, everyone hated the place, and the accommodations were not all that great. Swearing and drinking were a common scene during the breaks, and they called for the immediate removal of San Jose as the state's capital. Word got around, and the competition for the state capital was back on. The best came from the city of Vallejo. The vote to move the capital from San Jose to Vallejo was passed by both houses and then was signed by Governor John McDougall in February 1851. As early as 1852, Vallejo became the state capital. Well, same kind of deal as the San Jose problem. The building was not ready. It was half-built. The town would themselves sound good on paper, but in reality it was not that great, and they weren't ready to handle the big responsibility of housing the government of California. It was recorded that some of the furniture wasn't even there. The workers refused to stop building when the legislature met, and to put you in a place of the lawmakers, imagine that you are trying to run the state and you don't even have a desk, possibly even a chair, and you are meeting in the middle of a construction site. There's not even a printing material to be used, and the legislature declared that they would keep Vallejo as the state's capital, but would leave and work in Sacramento while Vallejo got their act together. So back they went to Vallejo in 1853. Sacramento was having a bad flood, and Vallejo was not doing so great weather-wise, but at least they had chairs this time. The city of Benicia offered the free use of their city hall, and so the government voted to move the capital to Benicia. The legislature loved their new place. It was big enough and the town was better, but after just 1 year, they had grown too large for their Capitol building. Over 100 people were sleeping in saloons due to the lack of housing and other buildings there. And so here comes along Sacramento. They had plenty of thought and planning on how they would finally entice the government to come there, and must have really liked having their city the capital for that short period of time. So they wrote out a very good offer for the legislature to consider. Sacramento offered the free use of their courthouse, plenty of rooms for the state officials, fireproof vaults for records and stuff, free moving from Benicia to Sacramento, and a dedicated building site for an official state capitol building. The government said yes to the offer and moved to Sacramento in 1854. Everyone loved the new city. The roads were nice, the buildings were beautiful, there was a telegraph system in place, the river was a huge plus for the transportation. Levees on the river had just been installed, but a fire broke out and burned the building to the ground. Within 4 months, a new building was built there, and the government was happy and working hard. No problems. Then a big flood and another one, and so the next year there was grumbling and talking about moving the capital somewhere else. But they decided to stay, but temporarily moved to San Francisco due to the flood. In 1860, the big and beautiful state capitol building was set to begin building. It took much longer than planned because of a few things, but mostly flooding, the Civil War, and good old politics. 1869, the legislature moved into their new building, not yet finished until 1874. Then one big thing had to happen to end this crazy moving around that was going on. The Constitutional Convention of 1879 came together and they added into the California Constitution that Sacramento would be forever the capital of California. And the only way it would ever move is if there was a majority vote in this legislature and a majority vote by the people. So as of today, Sacramento still boasts its capital title, and we just have to thank Mr. Amos P. Catlin here for being a huge part of why Sacramento is what it is today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed that learning. Please share this video and remember to come back next week for another awesome video. Goodbye.